Good morning. I am reading in the book of Ezra, chapter 8, and there's just a couple of scriptures that kind of popped out to me this morning. Let me read them to you real quick. Chapter 8, verse 21. Then I proclaimed a fast there at the river of Hava, that we might afflict ourselves before God, to seek of him a right way for us and for our little ones and for all our substance. The scripture obviously is about fasting, and that's what I want to talk to you about. I know that because of physical concerns, let's just say it that way, there are some that find it difficult to fast. And I think there are ways to fast around most of those physical concerns. If you're one of these guys that's working out in the Texas heat where it's, 90, 100 degrees plus, and especially when you add the heat index to it and the humidity to it, it's easy to get lightheaded and put yourself in danger. And so you have to consider, okay, when do you fast and how do you fast? And it's difficult that if, you're working, I don't know, these long, crazy hours or 12 days straight and then so many off, or maybe you're working 5 days and you have Saturday and Sunday off, and Sunday's church and you want to go out to eat after church, and then Saturday's your family day. It's when do you fast? And I have no problem with people finding other ways to fast than a complete and total fast. I've even read in the Bible where there's times it'll say, we're all going to fast. Everyone's going to fast. We're all going to fast for this single item. Esther talks a little bit about that. And it says from all day or all night. And now you can also interpret that to be all day and all night. But there are places in the Bible it talks about a little bit different fast. But reality is those fasts are almost always, if not always, food related, because it is the substance of our body. But reality is, the point is, as it is said in Ezra, is that that we might, in verse 21, that we might afflict ourselves before God. And I get getting off of Facebook for a fast, or no social media, let's say it that way, because there's other modes, and I understand that. I understand I'm going to put my phone away for a certain amount of time, and your family members, your church member, whoever it is that you need, they're the only ones that can break through, and you pretty much put it on do not disturb, except for those people in your lives that should always have access. I get all those. And but I'm not sure that's afflicting our body. And I know a lot of y'all don't like me right now but let me just tell you, I struggle with fasting and with my age and the requirements of what I do here around on the ranch. I'm definitely one of those that I struggle out in this heat regardless, without, and you add not eating to it, that's a problem for me. And so hear me when I say I'm not condemning anybody, because I get it, all right? I totally get it. And quite honestly, and as transparent as I can be with y'all, there was probably a year that I didn't fast because I couldn't figure out how I was supposed to be doing that. I was having some medical issues already, and I was struggling with those. And there were very few people that really knew everything that was going on in my body, my children, and that was probably it. Maybe a couple of really close friends, but I didn't fast during that time. And I literally would long to fast. It was like, God, how do I work through this? And I'm not going to tell you the right answer, because I think that you need to work some things out with you and God. Let me say that again. There are things that you have to work out between you and God. But I do think it is very clear in Scripture the point of fasting. And in this case, it is to seek of Him a right way for us and for our little ones and for all our substance. We're seeking for something that is going to help us to live for God, to draw closer to God. And it's an affliction before God. Please do not just misinterpret that scripture. That does not mean you need to cut yourself. It does not mean you need to harm yourself. It's not a self-harm thing. It's something that becomes difficult for you physically. Okay? Work it out. And there's lots of different options. Those are diabetic. They will limit their meals, but they still have something at certain times to keep their numbers where they need to be. You can do a juice fast. You can do a liquid fast. So you're still having maybe a cold soup if you're one of those men that work out. It's not something you want. You're still hungry. You still have cravings, but you are putting those aside. You're fighting those cravings to get yourself under control with God, a sacrifice before God. But it is important that we do fast. Ezra goes on, and he says in verse 22, "For I was ashamed to require of the king." He's at a place that he doesn't want to go and ask for help to protect them from the enemy, because he's already told the king that his God would take care of them. And how could he say that God was going to take care of them and then say, oh, we need someone to protect us from the enemy? The bottom line here is, how can you ask others to pray for you when you are struggling with the enemy, when you are fighting battles, when you have not asked of God the appropriate way through fasting? In verse 23, let me go back to 22. Let me read some more of that. "The hand of our God is upon all them for good that seek him, but his power and wrath is against all them that forsake him. So we fasted and besought our God for this, and he was entreated of us." Just think about it. Think about it. In this day and age, I am seeing less people in the prayer room, and I can only imagine that that means there's also less people fasting. God has shown us the proper way to come to him. Consider, when's the last time you fasted? And was it a social media fast? Was it something that you liked to do? Or was it something that truly was an affliction of your body? I love y'all. Grow closer to God.